So hey guys, welcome once again to this beautiful channel, OhKayInvesting, and it's a very special day. It's the introduction of a new segment on this channel, Tuesday Newsday.
Good morning! Ohayou gozaimasu.
So there's quite a few different topics that I want to go over, and I hope you guys just generally enjoy it. So don't forget to like, subscribe for more, and let's just jump into it. So if you're not interested in all the different news segments that I'm going to be talking about, you can just check the description for the timestamps of the specific topics I'm going to be talking about, so you can skip straight to the segments that are relevant to you. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about is Tesla's battery day, which was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let me just say that how many companies have you seen that are just like, okay, by this year, which is normally 2030, we want to be a zero emissions company. We want to completely cut out all of the bad things that we're doing to the environment by this year. How many companies have you heard say that? Quite a few. How many companies have then gone a step further and been like, this is how we're actually going to do it. We're going to take you on a step-by-step basis of every single thing that we're going to actually do to then get to that point. Probably not many. Tesla essentially showed exactly what they're going to be doing to get to the point where they're going to get to a 56% reduction in kilowatt hour production. So it's just amazing what they actually showed. And again, the reception towards it is just what I expected. Loads of people were like, oh, you know what, Tesla stock is probably going to go up after this. But I was like, nope. People are going to misunderstand this, and the stock is most likely going to go down, and that's exactly what happened. But to me, I think it was a really great day. And yeah, so just kind of going on to the next news segment. And just one more thing I want to add to the Tesla battery day. Lots of people were saying that Elon didn't seem to be his normal self. He seemed to be a bit like understating how he normally does. Like he'd normally be like, oh yeah, this amazing thing is coming here, this amazing thing is going here. Like why wasn't he like that for battery day? And I was just thinking that if he was like that, future Tesla customers would be like, why am I going to buy this new car now if Elon's talking about all this amazing stuff that's coming? I'm just going to hold my money and wait for this new stuff to come. I'll buy the amazing thing once it comes out, and that will just be very bad for the company. So I think that's particularly what he was saying. And as Tesla dollar cost averaging experiment obviously put out, he's saying, yeah, it's the Osborne effect. So again, you should check out this latest video that he made. It's really good. Again, not only do I want you to show Tesla dollar cost averaging experiment some love, but if you haven't checked out the amazing podcast we did together, you just have to check it out. And if you're like, Kay, I don't have time for that, well, don't worry, I got you covered, because there's a clips. And if you just want to just listen to it while you're doing other things, it's on Spotify. So man, you've just got no excuse. And the second news segment, still relating to Tesla Q3 Deliveries, they've smashed it. Well, I wouldn't say smashed, they just exceeded it, they did well. Let me not overstate it. So essentially, Wall Street was kind of predicting around 136,000 deliveries for Q3, and they managed to get 139,300 deliveries, which is pretty amazing. Tesla says it delivered 139,300 vehicles in Q3, including over 124,000 Model 3 and Ys. So the consensus estimate was for 136,000 deliveries, although the last few estimates from Wall Street were right about 140,000 mark. So the company produced a total of 145,036 vehicles during the quarter. So that's, in my opinion, I think that's amazing. It's really good. Of course, good Tesla news, what happens? The stock goes down. So it's down now 4.8% just after that. And I think it's going to reflect really well on the earnings. And I wouldn't be surprised if this quarter is one of their most profitable. And we'll see how that goes. So this next news story I'm actually really excited to talk about. And it's kind of goes over IPOs. So if you haven't watched the podcast I did with Sarson, which a lot of people apparently did, it's really great. Please leave some comments and some feedback on that if you did actually enjoy it. Watch the last segment and the clips I'm going to upload of me speaking about IPOs. But anyway, a specific company called Roblox, which I feel a lot of people have heard about by now, is planning to IPO. And I have a very special interest in this company for specific reasons, which you guys will probably find out in the future. Yeah, so it's really interesting. If you don't know what Roblox is, if you haven't seen all the memes. The best way for me to describe it, if you know what Minecraft is, it's kind of like Minecraft in the case where it's that kind of game aimed at younger children. It's essentially a toolbox where you can create and code any kind of game. So within the game, you can make any kind of game with your kind of like Lego-like characters. And it's an amazing platform because there's loads of young coders that essentially make games, and they essentially can become millionaires by monetizing their creations within the game. So I have very specific insight into the company and how they've been run and how they treat their creators. So I think it's very interesting to see that they're IPOing, because I'm always like, this company must make so much money. So just to see that they're going public now, or planning to, is very interesting and something I definitely want to keep my eye on. So let me just read some of this article. So Roblox is working with investment banks to prepare for a US stock market listing that could come early next year. So the online gaming platform expects it could double its recent $4 billion valuation. People familiar with the matter said. Roblox is weighing whether to go public for a traditional initial public offering or a direct listing. So that would be really interesting to see. So Roblox is working with investment banks to prepare for a US stock market listing that could come early next year, and which the online gaming platform expects could double its recent $4 billion valuation. So US demand for video games has surged as consumers seek home entertainment while living under lockdown measures to curb the spread of novel coronavirus. So again, I don't want to big myself up or anything. I think it's a normal skill for people to have, that if you see something coming, you can kind of see, okay, this thing is going to have this effect. Let me just be candid. Like, my brother is a Roblox developer, and I was just like, hey, with the coronavirus, loads of people are going to be stuck at home. I'm like, bro, this is going to be amazing for your business, because your games are definitely going to rise in popularity since there's just going to be more people playing the game. So I don't think that's a hard thing to see, and that's essentially what's happened. His games are doing better now, and lots more people are playing it. So it's a very interesting thing, and I feel like with that kind of mindset, you should kind of take it onto investing and say, okay, with this happening, what potential companies could this affect and in what kind of way? So in the way that they go public, specifically talking about that, I don't think they should do a reverse merger like loads of other companies are doing. They should just do it like the normal traditional way. They make so much money. They make, well, with the amount that they can afford to pay their creators, I don't see why, they can't do it the normal way. So just to kind of give insight to how big this is, in case you don't know. So at the time of the fundraising announcement, Roblox said it had reached more than 115 million monthly active users and more than 1.5 billion hours of monthly engagement. Roblox platform offers a host of different games across mobile devices and games consoles. The company operates a freemium model where users can make in-game purchases. Roblox public listing would follow that of gaming platform Unity Software, whose shares have risen more than 60% in its went public last month. Oh, Unity's public, that's interesting. Yeah, hopefully the podcast with my bro will come soon. This next topic I'll try to not spend too much time on for very specific reasons, but one of the biggest headlines, so stocks tumble as Trump tests positive for coronavirus and uncertainty abounds. So yeah, Trump got the corona, which is interesting. Let's just say that, and because of that, the stock market is like, oh no, yeah, like the stock market and all these companies have just suddenly become less valuable out of the possibility of this man dying. Of course, like that would cause a lot of uncertainty and it would be a big disruption. But when we've literally had like presidents actually get, game overed, let's just say, just to be YouTube friendly, and the world still continued, if Trump was to reach a game over due to the Rona, these companies aren't just going to suddenly fall apart, so I really don't think it's a big deal, although the stock market will make you feel like it's the worst thing ever. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that one. Now this topic also got me like, I was excited for this because I have like, I think everyone has like loads of different group chats. I've got my group chat with my boys, and I'm always like roasting one of my friends who's going to be on the podcast soon. He's a Xbox fanboy, I don't really pick sides, but at the moment I pick the winning side, let's just say. And at the moment, PlayStation, Sony's winning, so I'm always just roasting him like, you Xbox guys, you don't have any exclusives, you don't have anything, and then Microsoft just comes here, like, So I see you PlayStation fanboys, you had a bit of problems with your PlayStation 5 pre-order. So while everyone's just annoyed at PlayStation, boom! Who have we bought? We've bought ZeniMax. Who do ZeniMax own? Bethesda, the creators of Dishonored, Wolfenstein, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Starfield, The Evil Within, Prey. It's like, okay, so now I just don't have the same kind of ammunition to use against this certain friend of mine. You know, this is huge news. If you're a gamer, Xbox or Microsoft specifically buying Bethesda is huge news. I think it's going to be really great for the next gen consoles, and I hope that Microsoft just takes on the same approach that Sony has with its exclusives, because at the end of the day they may have the more powerful console, but if they don't have the games to actually play it on, you know, then the console's kind of useless. So this is really good, and I feel like it's definitely kept them in the race, because, you know, if Sony just dominated this generation again like they did the last, it would start to look really bad for Xbox. But yeah, so I'll be interested to see where this goes. Now this next segment is a bit less upbeat for obvious reasons. You know, this is to do with job cuts, which, you know, always sucks. It's never great for anyone. It's also really bad for the economy, which will affect everyone. But it's to do with two companies, so KLM and Disney. KLM, which is an airline that I've personally used a few times, it offers very cheap flights to loads of different places. KLM, the Dutch arm of the airline group Air France, will likely have to cut more jobs than the thousands of layoffs already announced due to the coronavirus pandemic. Its chief executive, Pieter Elbers, said it in message to staff. Elbers warned that COVID-19 will limit flights more extensively than 20 to 25% drop as it had anticipated for next year. So we now expect even lower production, which ultimately means that we need fewer people, Elbers said in his message, seen by Reuters. So another 10% drop in production, so 30 to 35% down from 2019, would mean around another 1,500 jobless, which really sucks. And now that I remember, I kind of also want to add Cineworld into this. One of my subscribers on my Patreons actually had, at the time, they invested into Cineworld, which, you know, is their own choice. I think Cineworld is also going to be cutting a lot of jobs as well, just kind of for the same reasons, because at the end of the day, you have to look at the businesses. Don't just focus on stocks. Yeah, airlines are normally good, cinemas normally good, but if the main thing driving that is kind of cut, you know, people aren't going to be traveling as much because of the coronavirus. Films in Hollywood can't be filmed as much. You know, there's so many films that should have come out already that just aren't. You know, so why is anyone going to go to cinema? So now loads like airlines aren't traveling as much, and they won't be for the foreseeable future. Cinemas are like struggling immensely. So you guys, you just need to be very careful with how you think about your investments, and not every strategy that worked before will continue to work. So it is important to monitor things. You know, the person that I'm referring to was more of a passive investor, so I don't think they looked at it as often as, you know, I guess I would. But if you don't monitor things, this is kind of one of the negatives of passive investing. You know, if you just kind of leave something in the background, things happen. You know, so like the world won't just stand still and wait for you to check your investments again. But anyway, to go on to Disney. So Disney leads companies announcing layoffs. Big airline job cuts loom. Okay. So a number of job cuts have been announced in the last 24 hours as companies grapple with the ongoing impact of the coronavirus pandemic. On Tuesday, Disney said it will lay off 28,000 employees across its parks, experiences, and consumer product divisions. Yeah, for me as a Disney shareholder, that's a bit concerning, because the fact that they have to lay off so many people from the parks, which, well, I guess that makes sense kind of for the same reasons. I'm not that worried, since Disney is a huge company and most of their money doesn't come from their parks, you know, and they're investing into loads of other mediums such as like Disney Plus that, you know, kind of benefits from the coronavirus. Again, it sounds sad, but if the parks aren't open and people aren't going to them, then from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense that those people should be there. I would have hoped that the people that are employed there hopefully saw this coming and were looking for other places to work or have other things that they could do. But yeah, it's kind of like what I've been advising everyone, like even before the coronavirus, the people were taking the coronavirus seriously, like, guys, this is not a time to be wasting money. You know, try and do more. Don't just depend on your one job, you know. Be diversified in your actual income streams. So things like this don't hit you as hard as people that just hope that everything will just always be okay. Yeah, then last news story. So again, in my podcast with Natasha, which you still have to watch, I'm definitely I'm gonna ruin the surprise for you. I shot 2 podcasts with Natasha on that day, but because I feel like I've just become better at shooting the podcasts and doing them, and Natasha was like so great to talk to, I'm definitely going to invite her around to just, you know, do another one properly. But anyway, part of that we talked about, you know, investing into smaller companies through things like CrowdCube. So CrowdCube, if you don't know, CrowdCube and Seedrs are massive platforms in which you can invest in smaller private companies. You know, it's kind of like in seeding rounds. So before companies go public, they have to go through loads of different rounds of investing to raise capital before they become public. Like that's what some companies used to do. They don't all go through this generally, but I've also invested into free trade through CrowdCube. If you follow my Instagram, which you should do, you'll see on my monthly portfolio updates how much I've invested into free trade through CrowdCube. But anyway, so I think they're the 2 biggest ones. So CrowdCube and Seedrs, they plan to merge to create one of the world's largest private equity marketplaces. So today we have announced with Seedrs that we have agreed to a merge in a move that will accelerate our shared plan to create the world's largest private equity marketplace and further democratize investment. By joining forces, thousands of ambitious, fast growth businesses and millions of investors will be able to benefit from the best expertise, service and returns offered by CrowdCube and Seedrs investors platforms. So I think that's great. I think that's good news. Let's see. So what they say that will happen next. So before the merger is formally completed, we will need to go through an approval process with shareholders, the Competition and Markets Authority, CMA, and the Financial Conduct Authority, FCA. This is a standard practice for this kind of transaction. So the initial phase of the CMA process will take about 2 months, after which the CMA will either approve the transaction or move it to phase 2 of the process. Phase 2 could take 6 months or possibly longer. During this time, both businesses will continue to operate as usual. So following the completion of the merger, the companies will work together to define how 2 businesses will combine their teams, customers, brands, services and technologies, and the transaction is expected to be completed in late 2020 and early 2021. So as soon as there are any further updates, they'll let us know. So yeah, again, I think that's pretty fantastic. There's loads of smaller companies that I would have loved to invest in. One of the ones that I use quite regularly is Revolut, and I think they had one of the best funding experiences through CrowdCube. If I had known that that's how to invest in them earlier on, that's a missed opportunity. But like we said, you know, when it comes to investing, the more you learn, the more opportunities you'll begin to, you know, just see and you'll be able to take advantage of. So yeah, anyway guys, just so this video isn't so long, that will be it. And please remember, subscribing to me will pay dividends to your future, and I will see you guys in the next one. See you guys, peace.